Konnichiwa, o genki desu ka? Well, that is Japanese for hello, how are you? Another video finally. Sorry guys, I've been busy. It's not that I didn't want to make any videos, but I got a really interesting topic today that I want to talk about, and it's occurred to me, or I've read about it, and the topic we're going to talk about, sorry I wrote this down, is listen to yourself. Now, what does that mean, listen to yourself? I know that a lot of people who are lonely, who are seeking guidance, who are seeking answers, always go listen to somebody else. And that can be a good thing, but that can also be a bad thing, because as you listen to somebody, you should listen to that person as yourself. Don't listen to the speaker and only the speaker. And what I mean by that, I'm going to make that very clear. So we all know about world history, we all know about Stalin, we know about Adolf Hitler, we know about all these crazy people, tyrants, that literally controlled millions and millions of people and bent their way onto them and got them to do what they didn't want to do themselves, which is go to war and kill other people. So how could this happen? And growing up in Germany, I never got an answer to that because that question just wasn't asked. I was born in 1963, so a few years after the war, in 1945. High school, all my teachers were World War II veterans. My whole village, basically all the older guys were in the war. Nobody ever talked about it. I didn't ask any questions. But what happened is a lot of these guys listened to the wrong person. But they didn't listen as themselves, and that is a big difference. So let's dive into that topic a little bit more. So when you listen to somebody and they're giving you ideas, say you're sitting in a room full of people and you have a topic and you just get so engrossed in this topic that you forget where you are. These things sound great. These guys are going to make you rich. They're going to make you famous. They're going to promise you the world. And all you have to do is give them 1995. Okay. First of all, who is listening? Are you listening with your engaged mind? Are you questioning the speaker? Or are you literally just hearing what he wants you to hear? There's a big difference in that, guys. Now think about this. Are you listening with your brain? Or are you listening with nothing else and you're listening to the voice of somebody that's feeding you some ideas? That's a big difference. Now, we could go into World War II and what happened and all that stuff. I've been reading lots about it, but that's not the point of this talk today. The point is, when you're depressed, when you're fighting PTSD, all these things that, humans fight on a daily basis, there's millions of us. We usually tend to get, therapy. We see a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a therapist. And that is something we definitely should do. We need help. We need to get out of this. And I've been through quite a bit of therapy. Has it helped me? Not at that point, because I was listening to the speaker, but I wasn't listening as myself. And again, that's a big difference, because when you listen to the speaker who's giving you advice and you're just listening, you're not evaluating what that speaker is telling you, then you're just a listener. You are not an active participant, and there's a big difference. So when you see these masses of people standing in front of Stalin or standing in front of Hitler and, waving the flag and cheering and crying and doing all sorts of weird things, they can't be rational thinkers. They're not. They're listeners. The masses are listening. That's why back in the 40s and late 30s, the radio was introduced and every household in Germany had a radio delivered. A free radio. Everybody thought, wow, this is a great idea. I'm getting a free radio. Well, that wasn't the point. The point was that every evening there were speeches on, how the German nation would rise again and how they got shackled after World War I and yada, yada, yada. So that tiny seed was planted. People were listening to the speaker without any idea of what was being planted and without any engagement of their mind. And that's what the topic today is. So when you're listening to somebody, say for example, you guys having a coffee at Starbucks with your best friend, and she's telling you about her latest breakup. And you're sitting there, you're slurping on your coffee, and you go, oh wow, yeah, that's terrible, you know. And she just keeps going on and on and on. Are you engaged? Are you listening? Or are you just sitting there, oh yeah, there she goes again, another breakup. Well, it's probably her fault. Doesn't matter. If you're not actively listening with your mind engaged, then you're not getting the point. You are not participating in the conversation, and you are getting secondhand knowledge that is unfiltered into your brain that you don't know what to do with. And that is not good. And that's today's topic, because I've been getting information from other people that I wasn't actively listening to. I just took it kind of at face value and went, oh, okay. But it really bugged me, and it really influenced me in a negative way. And then I realized, well, if I was listening not as a listener, but as a speaker versus listener person, then I would have done better with that information, because I would have taken the information, I would have thought about what it means, I would have filtered out the rest, and then I would have had the root idea of that conversation, and that might have helped me or might have not helped me, but it wouldn't have left me confused. So when you're listening to somebody, be active. Have your brain engaged when you're listening. I know, guys, we all zone out. I had years of university that I don't remember because I just literally sat there and stared at the wall because the professor was boring. But was I actively listening? Never, ever. So in daily life, I know it's very hard to do when you're sitting somewhere and you're actively listening. That is not an easy task. Prime example, I was at Home Depot yesterday. I wanted to buy a water tank. Well, the salesperson basically had no idea, literally zero. So he's given me all this information, and I'm actively listening because I've done my research. And so I'm asking some very direct questions that he couldn't answer. So then he took me over to customer service because I said, hey, we bought a water tank here 9 years ago. You probably have it in the system. So the customer service girl was extremely rude. She literally just let me stand there. She took care of another customer that came after me, and then she got really snappy, like, okay, what do you want, you know? And anyway, so she goes, no, I don't have that information, bye. And I was just like, wow, okay. I was willing to spend quite a bit of money on a new water tank. I guess I won't be buying it at Home Depot. And I was just on the way out when I said no. No, we can't talk people like that. I turned around, I went back to customer service, and there she is. She's standing there. I go, yes, like that kind of attitude. And I looked her straight in the eye, and I said, you realize that you were extremely rude earlier, right? And she just looked at me like, no, I wasn't. And I said, no, you were extremely rude, and this is why. And I explained the situation from my viewpoint, and her eyes kind of got big. She put on a big smile, and she said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. So was she listening to me when I had a request? No, she was not an active listener. She was not engaged at all in listening. You know, she's been doing that job. She's probably been at work for 6 hours. She does not listen to anybody. She just goes through the motion of listening and then doing this, that, and snaps back at everybody. Well, that's not how it works, right? So active listening is one of those things that we should really practice, I think. I mean, in the beginning, it is exhausting. I got to be honest. Like to listen to somebody and actively participate in it and not just spew out some random answer, it's not an easy thing. Hey, I get that. I totally get that. But on the other hand, I think that's what we're here to do. Is we cannot just take situations and speeches and what people are talking about at a value that is not important. Because what if somebody filters you ideas? You know, some people are really good at talking, and they will give you ideas, and they will plant them in your head, and you go, wow, you know, that's great, because you did not evaluate them, because you weren't listening with your listener mind engaged. And that is today's topic. So if you go somewhere and somebody's talking to you, may it be a seminar, may it be the lady at the checkout counter at the supermarket, may it be the guy at the gas station, you know, next time you have a conversation, engage your brain and listen to what these people are saying. And that way you get a way better idea what's going on. What do they actually want from me? Is there something that I missed? Is there something that I was rude? Were they rude? These are all things that, you can make your life a little bit more interesting than it actually is. These average conversations, I know they're not my favorite. I hate superficial conversations. But then again, maybe they're not as superficial as you think they are, because if you start to listen with your brain and your ears together, these conversations might actually take on a really interesting twist, and you find out where that guy from the gas station is actually from. Why is he having a bad day? Maybe his dog died. These are all things that make us human. What makes us inhuman, what controls us if we listen to somebody and take his advice without listening without our ears, and that's what happened in World War II. People were not listening. People were just, they bought the idea, but they never really listened. There were very few people that actually listened. And my dad's family, for example, was one of them. They never believed what they were told. Did they have a choice? Did my dad have to go to war anyways? Yes, he did. But he didn't believe in it because he was listening. He was smart. He was a smart man. And he knew that these ideas that were being sold to him were absolutely insane. But he couldn't run away. There was, back then you either went to the military or you got shot. So he went to the military and he was in World War II. So there we go. Anyways, this is a really fast topic. I got lots of topics, but that was one of them today, I guess. Please, when you listen with your heart, your mind, all together. And that way, when somebody's feeding you some information that is really not important or is meant to misguide you into giving them money, giving them your heart, giving them your life, don't. Please don't. Listen, say thank you, evaluate, and then you can always walk away and get back to them later. With a clear mind and a good heart, I say goodbye to you. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.